regarding Big Bang acoustics, that is whether is this sound the sound of space or the sound of universe?
See, space, you can mute when I speak because it's making echoes. It's a big question whether space is bigger or universe is bigger. Space is infinite, but space is everywhere. Inside my house also there is a space. Inside each one of us there is a space. Inside an atom there is a space. Universe is much bigger in its consciousness concept. When you say space, it is like nothingness. Nothing is there. It's a space, emptiness. Space shows emptiness. Universe shows so many constituents inside that. So we don't say, if you're talking about the happenings in the universe, the word to be used is universe. Happenings in the universe. We don't say happenings in the space because space is empty. So sound is some happening in the universe. Sound is not a happening in the space. You understood why am I defining like this? So there is no sound in space. There is a sound in the universe. But space is the gap in between. Maybe one planet, another planet, in between there is a space.
But that is not empty, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. There is nothing called the empty. Though we keep saying there is emptiness, in principle we say there is emptiness, but in between us there is a space. But when we talk about space in my house, it is not empty, there is air. Understood? But in common terminology, we say that there is nothing in between us, right? And space is a very generic term. There is a space for all of us to discuss. That means the environment is good, right? So space is a very generic word to be used. It is not something related to the upper atmosphere, etc. So we must understand space is a concept which is generically used, whereas universe refers to something beyond earth, or where earth is also included, a celestial objects, lot of matter, lot of energy, lot of galaxies, solar system, stars, whereas space is it's a very common terminology. Got it? So where is sound? We can say when I speak, I am talking, it goes through, we don't say it goes through the space, right? Because that's a very generic concept we don't use when we talk about specifics. So if you are talking about the sound in the universe, the Milky Way galaxy keeps on making sound. Every planet, when it revolves, it makes sound. But is it audible to all of us in the frequency? Which is not understandable. See, for example, a bird flies, the wings are moving, it makes a sound, but that frequency is not good enough for us to listen. When the fan rotates, there is a sound. When you can see small, the Silent Valley is very famous because
It resonates, whatever.
Yeah, that is because in the frequency in which you are talking, in the frequency in which one small creature is making sound, is resonating because the other sounds are not that evident and that predominant. Therefore, space is such a place where there nothing else is happening, and a small revolution, small rotation, or a big sound which comes from any small activity is being echoed across. but sound will not come in effect when the wave doesn't penetrate into your eardrum or maybe some receiver. That signal gets converted into whatever signal you want. So there are sounds in the universe, there are sounds in the Milky Way galaxy, there are sound in the whole space, if you want to say. Correct? Is it clear or okay or not okay? You have got some appendix question to that, then I can elaborate on that.
No, yeah. No, but when talking about sounds, it is our, like, we can't hear it properly, or it is our problem with hearing that we can't hear it. But what if we were able to maybe unlock, like we say we can only use maybe 0 to 1 or 2% of our brain capacity. What if we use, like, say, if we in some way able to unlock our brain capacity as to maybe hear all the kind of, all sounds in all varying frequencies and all that. Like, if it is possible, then will it be like the sound of Om or something like that that comes in the...
See, Nandini, when this mobile phone is ringing, there is a wave which comes in the frequency in which my SIM is able to detect that there is a wave coming, that is captured, converted into the audible sound for us. So the wave is a sound. What signal comes into my telephone is a sound. Assume that you are able to tune your brain, you are able to tune your ear frequency in which actually it is the ear. The vibrations in which it is happening is able to capture every telephone sound which is happening around. Do you think you can live in this world? Understood? So we should thank God that our ears are not tuned for receiving all the radio signals, all the other signals which happen. So there are different bandwidth, the Q band, K band, all the bandwidths in which we are able to, in the frequencies in which we are able to capture either sound or light. Assume that our eyes are able to see X-ray. I will be able to see all you inside your bone and then all that, right? We are able to see only in the optical region. So I am not able to see in the thermal region. If I am able to see with my eyes your thermal region, I will, looking at you, I will say your temperature is this much, right? Because I will understand this much is the temperature. So our Panchendriyas are meant for understanding and living in this state. Don't expect too much in science and then forget about the life and humanity around us. So it is not our expectation to understand, but 100% we can have equipments. We can have, assume that you are not able to see something very closely. When you go to a temple, you are not able to see what is the statue inside the sanctum sanctorum. So what do? We close eyes like this and then look at it. So what am I doing? My field of view is too large. My field of view is too large. Definitely what will happen? My optics will not be very good in identifying things very clearly. The resolution will become less. So I must change my field of view so that my focus becomes too short. So actually when I am closing it like this, I am focusing. That's called iconic view, right? So I am looking at like this. My eyes will get not the light from the other sources, so I am able to see very carefully. So I have to reduce my field of view. Similarly, assume that I am able to capture the sound in the universe in such a fashion, I can filter it out. So generally what is used is a big filter. Assume, for example, you take a small filter which is generally available. Okay. So you make a bottle of different size, cut this area and then create a funnel. Keep this here. I am sure you will get a different sound from the surroundings. Because what happens is the sound which is in the space get piped inside your ear and things will become more clear for you. What is a flute? The flute is one where the sound comes through the holes, it gives a different frequency. So similarly, assume that you have got a big funnel which is kept looking at the big diaphragm. Absorb all the sound from the universe. Keep it so high, maybe 100 kilometer high, imaginary. I'm sure you cannot do that, or not many experiments have done like that. But listen to the end of the sound, you will hear the sound of the universe. There are few experiments conducted like this. There are people who have listened to the sound of the universe. It is told that it is like Om. There are big tunnel or maybe funnels which are kept. Go through inside a tunnel where it's almost like, you don't have to look into the universe. You go inside a tunnel and then make a small sound. That vibrations will look like oh. That's what it is. Probably people who stayed inside the cave got such a sound and then called that syllabi as that frequency, that sound which makes in that form as O. That is quite possible.
When we were small, like when we rest our heads on or our ears on the desk, and when we simply do, like I used to feel that there is always a sound of a beach in that desk.
Yes, definitely. It depends on, see, for example, a stone can make a different sound. Maybe a stable which is very strong can make, the glass can make a different sound. Metal can make a different sound.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it is. If I rest my ears on the bench, I will always hear like some kind of wind swishing and that kind of a sound. Like I feel like we are in a beach and all that. But that doesn't mean it is a sound of a beach, or that doesn't mean it is the wind gushing and all, right?
100%.
So how can you say? Yeah, so how can you say that it is a sound of home?
That is what I'm saying. People have done a lot of experiments. So each one of us will have a different interpretation. Each one of us are different in looking at the way in which, assume that you look at color, it could be different. You look at some areas, it could be different. Because you are known to the beach sound, anything which comes you will relate to a beach sound. Suppose somebody has not seen a beach in their life, what will happen? They cannot even imagine that it is a beach sound, right? See, for example, when you look at the cloud, somebody will say, oh, it looks like Shiva's Jada. And maybe somebody will say it looks like a tree. Somebody else will say it looks like an idiyappam. It depends on your taste. Because we are all interpreting. What is that we are seeing in this world is only a perception. There is nothing called absolute. I am perceiving through my indriyas in the way which we want to interpret it. So that is why I keep saying, even if somebody listens to my lecture, the perceiver, that is Nandini, perceives the way the perceiver wants to perceive and not the way the speaker wants the perceiver to perceive. So you have your own interpretations, you have your own knowledge with which you are processing it. So your brain is tuned with such things. See, for example, when somebody cries, oh, you think that, oh, my daughter was crying like this. An elderly mother can tell like that, right? See, understand, there is a different frequency for each one of us to process. See, for example, a cow and a calf. If there are thousands of cows, the calf is feeling so thirsty, even every breast is with full of milk, the calf will not drink milk from any other cow other than its own mother. They understand frequency very well. Every big fish calls its kids, even if it is kilometers away inside the water, because the frequency in which it can communicate is entirely different from the frequency what we can. I told you, human beings have got a very different frequency level. We have only some sound, very little in the whole frequency level. We have got only very little audible sound which can be processed. We have only very little optical wavelength region where we can process it. Therefore, we are totally handicapped. So imagine we are a handicapped person. What we will do? We will relate to something which we know. That's how it is. So it's not absolute. It's only a relative conceptualizing things around my knowledge.